Are back. Let's do exam 3, chapters 7 through 9, and class average is 88.5 with only 3 people who did not meet the standard of 80. 88.5, pretty darn good, with 31 students taking it. Okay. Let's look at what went right, what went wrong. Appendicular versus axial again. We already talked about that. That's going to come out. There's about 40% of you that still didn't get the concept, so go get it. Flat bones, the different shapes of bones, you guys were pretty good. The parts of a long bone, you guys did pretty good. Now, let's talk about the osteon. Osteon, also known as the functional unit of bone, right? It is in compact bone. It has a central canal, and inside the central canal is an artery, vein, and nerve. All these arteries, veins, and nerves of the different osteons are connected together with Haversian canals. Okay? So think what? Compact bone. Again, you guys did really, really well. Atlas versus axis. A couple of you got that wrong. So definitely know your vertebrae. Know the number. So, of course, C1, Atlas, C2, axis, not Atlas, not at last. You have your C7 prominence. Know the other numbers of your thoracic. Remember, sacral is fused. So how many bones is that? That's 1. And your coccyx is, of course, at the very end. That's 1. Thoracic is 12. Lumbar is 5. A couple of you got that wrong, not a lot, but I got to put it out there. But the majority of you guys, solid. Oh, this section right here, 25% got wrong. And it's turning common terms into so your collarbone, that's your what? Clavicle. Thigh bone, femur. Your funny bone or your upper arm, humerus. Your shoulder blade, scapula. Okay? A couple of you got those wrong. Kneecap, patella, heel bone, calcaneus. All right? Wrist, carpal, ankle, dorsal. Okay. So, a couple of people got those wrong. About, oh wow. A little under 40%. That's a lot. For whatever reason, there's sutures versus sinuses. My wife is now answering your questions. So your sutures, you're gonna think what? Immovable joints in your skull. Your sinuses, those are the spaces in your skull. You utilize them for hearing or auditory, and you'll utilize them also for, keeping it light and weight. Sutures, of course, the thing that relates to sutures was fontanelles or spaces in spaces in infant skull, or the soft spots turn into sutures. It looks like, a couple you got that kind of confused. And I wouldn't have known it if I didn't put those two questions back to back. Oh, for whatever reason, again, another compact versus spongy bone. Compact, of course, you have it up here regarding your osteon, right? But spongy bone, I want you to think of yellow marrow, fat, red marrow, hematopoiesis, or blood cell production. Now all blood cells, red blood cells, white blood cells, and platelets. Next one. You guys did pretty good on those. You did pretty good on those. So the first couple of chapters, you did pretty good. Okay. Know your joints, classifications. You guys did really well on it, but I'm going to test it again. So synarthrotic, diarthrotic, amphiarthrotic, fibrous, cartilaginous, synovial. Wow, you guys did really good. Know your motions, flexion, decrease the angle versus extension, increase. All of them. You guys did okay. Not okay, you did actually very well on them. But again, it's a classic thing, and it's an important part of this set of chapters. Wow, wow, wow. Only 10% wrong. Only 12% wrong. Sarcoplasmic. Always going to think calcium. About 20% of you got that wrong. I don't know why. Oh, no, actin versus myosin. Not a lot of you got it wrong, but you keep on switching them around. So let's do it. Actin is the what? Actin, right? That's the thing that the calcium from the sarcoplasmic reticulum activates contraction of the muscle. Now, myosin, you're going to think what? ATP, power stroke. Okay? Oh, next one. Again, 10 to 15% of you still don't have your neurotransmitters down. So acetylcholine, you're gonna think skeletal muscle. Acetylcholine, plus norepinephrine. That's what? Smooth muscle, also known as visceral muscle. GABA, inhibitory. You also have like serotonin, endorphins, enkephalin, reduction of pain. Ooh, this one a lot of people got wrong, but I think that was like an erroneous question. Yep, it was one of the ones that I awarded. Anyone who got that one wrong. This one, yeah, we got to do it. The different types of contraction. I got to hit it up again. Look at that again. Isometric versus eccentric versus concentric. So, concentric, I can lift the weight easily. Muscle shortens. Eccentric, weight is too heavy. It'll do what? Muscle lengthen. Isometric, iso means the same. Muscle does not change length. Yeah, we gotta do those again. And a couple you got, like, you know, let me add this one. Another one that you guys got wrong. Adductor versus abductor. But overall, that's all I got for exam 3. You guys did so well. Yep, that's all I got. But let's see how many topics. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. 11 topics. I can easily make 15 questions out of 11 topics. That's what? What's chapter? Chapter 4 is what, 10? So let's do analysis on that. And that was exam 4. That was just yesterday, while I was out, being totally incapacitated. So let's look at exam 4. Okay. I'm looking at everybody, but this time only 29 people took it. Wow, almost hit 90. Class average is 88.4. Well done. And only 2 or 3 people were underneath the average of 80. So, let's look at what went wrong. If anything, it was 88.4. Lovely. But you guys had my reviewer. You had everything. And I believe there was a typographical error, number 23. So I will be giving any individual who got number 23 wrong a +2. I'll get that to that later today. And if you notice that you got it you got it wrong, or you think you got it wrong, and you didn't get a +2, come email me and I'll check it out. Because some people took it, it was like hearing versus healing. But let's look at first one off the bat. Still 10% of you, or about 15% of you, still got afferent versus efferent. So you gotta straighten that out. Even more of you got the lobes wrong. So I thought it was a gimme question. So let's go over the lobes and what they do. Frontal, judgment, parietal. It will be the coordination of sensory and motor. Temporal, vision. Oopsies, temporal, auditory. I think I'm going to use the word auditory instead of hearing, because hearing sounds like healing. And apparently I don't know my R's, L's, number 23. And of course, occipital, vision. Next one. Only 10% of you got that wrong, and I'm tired of asking. CSF. About 25% got this wrong. Or less than 25%, around 20%. Got this one wrong. Right? Your cranial goes, think CN is what? Your nervous systems. Of course, CNS is what? Brain plus spinal cord. PNS, you're going to think what? Everything else. So in PNS, who also forms part of it? Cranial nerves. Right? And peripheral nerves. And spinal nerves. Everything other than the brain and spinal cord. Because I put choose the true statement regarding cranial nerve 11. Right? And a bunch of you got the other one wrong. Not a bunch, but you know. Enough that I noticed. That you can notice statistically. And statistically, yeah, a bunch of you. Remember, cranial nerves, peripheral nervous system, and of course, autonomic nervous system, sympathetic versus parasympathetic. And of course, your SNS, somatic nervous system, controls. ANS, I want you to think what? Heart. And gastrointestinal. So know those. A couple you got hit on those. Several of you got hit on depolarization, polarization. So let's do that. Depolarization, doing work. Excitation of the action potential. And that's what? Electricity. Repolarization is what? Rest. Reload. Okay? So in depolarization, pluses and minus regarding ions are together. Remember the battery analogy. I told you a story about me putting my tongue on a 9-volt battery. Alright, so whatever you, those of you who are getting this mixed up again, do what? Fix it. Last chance to fix it. And again, another commercial for this final exam. It's 20% of your grade. So it easily, if you're scoring an 85 right now, you tank this exam, you can easily fail. Don't, because these questions you've seen before, and now I'm actually outlining what topics look good to me. I'll be making the exam right after this, and guess what I'm going to use as my guide? This document, which I am going to publish for you after this video is over. After that, everyone did really well. For a couple of questions, for several questions, well, only 10%, only 20% wrong. What was this one? Only a couple of you got Meningi's questions wrong. What else was bad? And of course, number 23, there's going to be a whole bunch of you. But you know your cranial nerve 8 is what? Both hearing and balance, but I mistyped hearing and typed the word healing. So if you got that wrong, which is number 23, let me check how many people got that wrong. About 25% of you. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Yeah, 7 people are gonna get +2. 7 or 8, give or take. Well, my lack of attention to detail is your reward, +2. But I'll be later in the day. But you guys got that one down. You also got other cranial nerve stuff down. You guys are pretty good on your cranial nerves. A couple of you got nociceptor wrong. You answered nociceptor. Remember the different types of receptors. Here's some examples. Of course, mechanoreceptor. You're going to think what? Proprioception and blood pressure. Nociceptor. That's what? Pain. Thermoreceptor. Hot and cold. Photoreceptor. That's what? Your retina. Odds and cones. Chemoreceptor. Chemicals. So you're going to think what? Olfactory and gustatory. And remember, your smell and your taste go together because why? They're using the same receptors, and the receptors are helping each other. Synergistic in some bizarre way. I don't know how a whole bunch of you got extraocular muscles wrong. So, of course, we're going to leave all cranial nerves. Fair game. Again, do you know the Roman numeral? Do you know if the cranial nerve is mixed, motor, or sensory? Do you know the cranial nerve function? What does it actually connect to? Right? So, for example, cranial nerve 1 is what? Is purely sensory, right? And it's what? Called olfactory. So, it will what? Eventually connect to your thalamus and the rest of your sensory. Remember your thalamus? Oh, not your thalamus, because your thalamus doesn't do olfactory. Okay. Let's just keep it at that level. But that chart, that cranial nerve chart, very good. And then all the rest of you did very, very well in the cranial nerves. Now let's get into the hormones. And that's when the trouble started. There you go. Know the hormone chart. And the diagram, you know, the one with the tube with the pluses and minuses. Because let's go over some of these questions. Right? Cortisol, you're going to know what? It's what? Adrenal gland. And I could even be picky. Is it, think cortisol, think what? The cortex of the adrenal gland. The medullary area of the adrenal gland, you're going to think norepinephrine and epinephrine. This next one, a ton of you got wrong. And that was of course adrenal gland. Remember, anything releasing hormone has to be the hypothalamus. So gonadotropin releasing hormone is what? Hypothalamus. Anything inhibiting hormone, releasing hormone, and of course somatostatin. That the source is always the hypothalamus. Okay, next. Oh, anterior versus pituitary. And remember, the pituitary gland, there's only two of them, ADH and oxytocin. The rest are what? Anterior. No, of course, all function. Parathyroid hormone. Remember, parathyroid hormone, calcium. Stress is cortisol or chronic stress. Yeah. And you guys did okay regarding like pancreas, but let's add pancreas. Let's add insulin and glucagon. So that's it. This is the document. That's all you need to know. Now I'm gonna go make the exam. Good luck, gang. Ace this thing. Class average 90 plus. Did you guys notice every exam you guys are getting better and better? Last exam was 88 point something. So what? This final exam, do what? Do 90s. Because you can do 90s. You can do 100 because why? You've seen it before several times. So this is it. All right. Tomorrow, and you see I pushed the exam, so it'll give you guys time to get in, but try to get in like it's 8 o'clock. Because why? If you get in late, he goes, I can tell you there's a correlation for those of you who came in a little bit late because of the traffic or the weather or whatever. But if you know you have an exam, leave earlier. Do what you need to do, because there's somebody else in the room, and there's also somebody else in another school willing to do what you won't. And they'll get into a program, and they'll be eating your lunch, and they're less talented than you. So you guys got the talent, just get there on time, and then you know, make this exam, you know. And for those of you who are borderline, ace this thing. It's 20%. It can push your grade over, right? So do what you need to do. Good luck. Good studying, happy hunting, and I'll see you guys tomorrow.